You could call pay-per-click Google's money tree, and it's set to grow. Just this week, Google called the 2005 the turning point for online advertising. But our next guest says clicking on ads can be risky business. Adam Sculthorpe is president and CEO of ClickRisk. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks.
Now, let's start out by talking about what this risk is. What kind of fraud is going on?
It's a fraud associated with the advertising model, the cost per click model specifically. It's actually a critical flaw in that model.
And cost per click is if I go onto a website and click on the ad, then the advertiser has to pay whatever website I'm on for the fact that I've clicked.
That's correct, yes. And that network, the delivery system for that action is actually made up of affiliates of Google's network, Yahoo, AOL. And they form actually a very large portion of their delivery network. Most advertisers believe that when you do a Google search and you see their ads, that's the only place that those ads are delivered, when in fact they're not. They're delivered significantly across an affiliate network.
So what we're trying to find here are people that are clicking through to your site that have no intention of ever buying anything from you. So let's talk about why they would spend their time doing that.
That's correct. The affiliate network, and I'll just say it's in the last quarter, in the third quarter, it accounted for 43% of all Google's revenue, something like $675 million. That portion is the motivation behind the affiliates that belong to Google's AdSense program, and they're essentially clicking on their own links. So they display on behalf of Google ads that are relevant to the search, and they receive a commission based on every click. So there's a huge incentive when you consider that certainly some of our clients are paying between $10 and $12 per click. When the affiliate is receiving up to 65–70% commission, there's a huge incentive to commit fraud and click on your own ads, either manually or using automated means.
And just how widespread is this? Are there a bunch of kids who are getting paid instead of running a paper route to hit a button all day?
It's becoming more widespread. We've found over the last year, in fact, we did some analysis for 3 financial services firms, and as a consequence of that, we found what we believe is a total of 1,200 websites affected, and possibly since 2003, up to $500 million in fraud, just over a 2-year period. So it is considerable. It's very widespread. There are 2 types of fraud as well. There's competitive clicking and affiliate fraud. Competitive clicking is actually where the competitor of an advertiser is intentionally clicking on their competitor's links to deplete their budget. So they deplete their competitors' advertising budget, and they aren't getting the viewers that they think, or the eyeballs in front of them that they think is going on.
Tell us how you ferret this fraud out. How do you prove it that somebody's doing this?
It's in many cases the most sophisticated type of fraud is very difficult to detect. Some of our forensic analysis has taken over 6 months in some cases, and it's ran at costs of several $100,000. We've got clients that are spending several $1 million online, and over a long period, these organized criminals have actually set up multiple accounts. They're masking their websites' identities in the Bahamas. They've got accounts that are offshore. They're clicking using various means. It's an incredible thing.
So at the end of the day, how do the search engines know that what they're billing is accurate?
They actually don't. When we go knocking on the door and say, you know, this is the evidence we've got, they really have no clue in many cases. They spend several weeks typically in verifying our claims, looking at the evidence we've supplied. We supply very clear, detailed forensic evidence to support the claim, but they have very limited access to the click data. typically what happens is a click goes through Google's technology. Once it's left the website where the ad's being delivered, they have no further sight of whether that's a real visitor or not. And that's data we can gain access to with the help of our clients, and we can conduct our forensic analysis.
Let's look at the difference between this problem and what we saw on television for decades, where Nielsen would call a sampling of 1,000 homes, ask them what they were watching, and that became the actual sample stat that all advertisers priced their TV ads by. That's not a perfect science either. So in some ways there's inaccuracies in both types of media, are there not?
I think there are inaccuracies in all types of media. I think what's particularly relevant here is the rapid growth of the CPC model, and the admission recently, in December in fact, where Google's CFO said this is the biggest threat to our business model and the biggest threat to the internet economy.
Now, has any of this been before the courts?
There are currently, I'm aware of 2 class actions that have been filed. One has been filed that is basically saying that Google, Yahoo, AOL have all knowingly allowed click fraud to continue. They've discovered it but allowed it to continue. And there's another class action as well that's recently surfaced.
Wouldn't the long-term resolution of this problem be take a standard percentage of fraud that's built into every 100,000 clicks and say we're going to discount our rates by 20% on an ongoing basis? Wouldn't that really, I mean, if you can't stop it physically, there must be a percentage that is constantly being fraudulent. You just use that as a discount.
The incredible thing about that, and I agree that may be a way to approach it, but we found in our experience that this fraud can be as high as 70%. 70% of traffic. We've found an average of around 15.5% with large spenders, but we've had clients that have almost gone out of business due to this, that are spending, you know, not insignificant amounts of revenue on advertising.
So this is so interesting, and yet it's such a niche, really. It's not something that probably comes up. How did you get involved in it?
I actually was reading Google's prospectus early last year, and I saw a very, very small statement about click fraud and that it was a potential problem for them. And I applied my security expertise and background. I have over 20 years experience in dealing with technology and security issues for financial institutions and government and military. And I've applied that experience to solving this problem. I saw an opportunity to change it. So,
what's your business model? How do you make money?
Essentially, we provide a monitoring service for advertisers. So rather than have Google tell you, what your real clicks or what real visitors came to your website that month, we essentially go in and we ferret out the bad clicks, the bad fraud, and we do that using proprietary software technology that we've developed. We've got a forensic security scanner program that we put out there that you can download, and we also have a tracking technology that looks much deeper at the activity, the behavior of visitors to the website. So the idea is to determine whether they're real or not.
Now, if we've got your business model, what are the implications then for Google's business model?
I think there are wider implications for the cost per click model. There's an awareness growing now that there is a critical flaw in the cost per click model, and I think that will see a number of people entering the market with new products and services. I think we're already starting to see things like cost per call, where the integrity of a click and a call linked to online advertising gives it more credibility. And there's also a cost per acquisition model that I think we'll see growing. I think there'll definitely be some changes to the CPC model.
Adam, that was very interesting. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks.
That was Adam Sculthorpe, President and CEO of ClickRisk. Up next, Kyoto has been in effect for almost a year. So why is the protocol's future still smoggy? We'll find out next.